The ship reached Livorno. Edmund asked a man there to shave him and cut his hair. When the job was finished, he asked for a mirror. He saw the changes in his face. When I went to the Chateau d'If, my face was round and open. It was the face of a young and happy man, he said to himself. Now his face was longer, his mouth was harder and stronger, his eyes were deep and thoughtful, and his skin was whiter. Even his voice was softer and sadder. I don't know myself, he thought. I am a stranger. Next he went to buy some clothes. Then, a changed man, he went back on board the young Amelia. The men of the young Amelia worked hard for their captain. They spent very little time in Livorno. The captain wanted to get the goods out of the city quickly and to take them to Corsica. They sailed away. Edmund was happy on the open sea. I often dreamed about this in prison, he thought. Early next morning, the captain found Dantes. The two men stood at the side of the ship and looked at some great rocks. The sun shone in the sky and coloured the rocks a soft pink. It was the island of Monte Cristo. I can jump over the side of the ship, Dantes thought, and swim to the island in an hour. But if I do that, how will I get the treasure away? I must wait. I waited for years to be free. I can wait for a few months to be rich. He looked again at the island. Perhaps the treasure is only a dream of Faria's. But there was Prince Spada's letter. That seemed real. Dantes repeated the letter to himself from the beginning to the end. He remembered every word. Night came, and Edmund watched the island. It was beautiful with the colours of the evening. Then slowly it hid itself in the darkness. How can I reach Monte Cristo and bring the treasure back safely? The treasure is mine, but I have no money for a small boat to get it. He thought about this problem all the time. They returned from Corsica to Livorno. One evening in Livorno, the captain asked Dantes to come to an important meeting. Edmund went with the captain to see other ships' captains. They talked about a ship from Turkey which was carrying expensive cloth. They wanted to find a quiet place and meet this ship, buy the cloth, and then take it to the coast of France. "We need a quiet place where there are no customs officers," one man said. "A place where nobody will see us." "The best place is the island of Monte Cristo," said the captain of the young Amelia. "Nobody lives on the island, and no customs officers ever go there." They decided to sail to Monte Cristo the next night. Chapter 13. Monte Cristo. And so, by a lucky accident, Dantes reached the island of Monte Cristo. The young Amelia was first at the meeting place. Dantes was the first person to reach the shore. The men knew the island well. Dantes questioned Jacopo, the man who saved him from the sea. "Where shall we spend the night?" "On the ship, of course." "I must find the place where Spada hid the treasure," Dantes thought. "There is an opening somewhere, but where? Perhaps Spada hid it with stones, or perhaps it is now covered with trees and plants. But I must wait for the morning." Just then a boat arrived and came close to the shore. The business began. As he worked, Dantes worried. Did I say too much to Jacopo? Will the men learn about the treasure? No, his secret was still safe. Next morning the men rested. When Dantes quietly walked away, nobody seemed surprised. He climbed high, until the men on the shore looked very small. Then he found a path that was cut by a stream between two walls of rock. He followed it. The treasure is near here, he thought. As he went along the coast, he looked at everything carefully. These stones have marks on them. A man made these marks. He came to the 21st stone, and the marks stopped. But there was no opening, just one large rock. This rock is so big, I don't think anybody can move it. It is too heavy. I must start again. And he turned and went back to his friends. The men on the shore were cooking a meal. They were sitting down to eat when they saw Dantes. He was jumping from rock to rock towards them. All eyes turned to him. But then they saw him fall. They all ran to him, but Jacopo reached him first. Edmund was not moving. Is he dead? Jacopo thought. After some time, Dantes opened his eyes. My knee hurts very badly, he said, and my head and my legs feel heavy. They wanted to carry him to the shore, but when they touched him, he gave a cry of pain. Don't move me, he cried. The pain is too great. He did not want any food, but he told the other men to have their meal. I only need to rest, he said. When you return, I will feel better. The sailors went away. They returned an hour later. He is not getting better, one of the sailors said. His pain seems to be worse. I must sail this morning, the captain said to Dantes. Won't you try to get up? Dantes tried to stand up, but each time he fell back. With each fall he cried out with pain. He has broken his leg, the captain said in a low voice. But he is a very good man, and we can't leave him. We will try to carry him on board the ship. No, Dantes said. The pain is too bad. Don't move me. Leave me here. No, said the captain. We won't leave until evening. I don't want people to think that we left a good man like you on this empty island. But Dantes told him to go. No, no, he said to the captain. I was stupid, and I must suffer for my mistake. Leave me a small amount of food and an axe. I will build myself a hut. The captain turned towards his ship. It was waiting just off the shore, ready for sea. What shall we do? He asked. We can't leave you here, but we can't stay. Go. Please go, cried Dantes. We will be away for more than a week, the captain said. Then we will make a special journey to get you. Dantes spoke again. If, in 2 or 3 days, you see a fishing boat, ask them to come here for me. I will pay them to take me to Livorno. If you don't meet a fishing boat, please come back for me. Listen, Captain, said Jacopo. I will stay with him. You will say good-bye to your part of the money from this business to stay with me? Yes, said Jacopo immediately. A strange look passed over Dante's face. He pressed Jacopo's hand. "You are a good, kind-hearted friend," he said to Jacopo. "God will love you for your kindness. But I don't want anyone to stay with me. I will be all right." The men left the things that Edmund wanted. Then they went back to the ship. 2 or 3 times they turned round and waved to him, and Edmund waved back. "They are rough, dangerous men," Dante said to himself, "but they are good friends." He pulled himself up carefully to the top of the rock. He watched the ship leave. Like a beautiful white bird, it sailed out over the sea. Chapter 14. Treasure. Edmund climbed carefully down from the rocks. "I didn't really fall. I wanted the men to leave me here. I don't want to fall and hurt myself now," he thought. He followed the line of marks on the stones again. They started from a small place on the shore. Only a small ship could land there. But Spada's boat landed here, Dante said to himself. The marks ended at the large, round rock. But, thought Edmund, how did Prince Spada lift this heavy rock into this place? 20 men couldn't move a rock like this. Suddenly, a thought came to him. They didn't lift this rock into its place. It fell here. He jumped from the rock to look at the ground above it. Somebody cut a path here and moved the rock down it. They put a large stone here to hold it in its place. Now the stone is almost hidden by the grass. But the rock does not fit perfectly. The holes are full of small stones and earth. Dante's cut away these small stones at the top, and after 10 minutes he put his arm into the hole. He took his axe and cut wood from a strong tree. Then he put one end of the wood into the hole and pulled on the other. The rock moved. Again he pulled. The rock moved from its place and then fell back again. Dante's rested. He gave a last strong pull. The rock fell down the hill into the sea. In the place of the rock, Dante saw a large square stone with a ring in the centre of it. He felt weak, so he waited for a minute. Then he put the wood into the ring and lifted the stone. He saw steps going down into the darkness of an underground room. But there was some light down there, and the air was fresh. Both the light and air came in through small holes in the rock above his head. Dantes looked into the corners of the underground room. There was nothing in them. He remembered the words of the letter. Break into the second room. He was in the first room, and he must now find the second room. He began to hit the wall with his axe. In one place, the sound of the axe was a little different. He hit it again. The hard rock broke away easily. Behind it there was a wall of square white stones. Somebody built this opening. Then they painted it to look like rock, Dantes thought. He felt very weak. He put the axe on the ground and went up the steps. out into the open air. I have not eaten any food for hours. I am not hungry, but I must eat. He ate a little bread and took a drink from his water bottle. Then he returned. He was able to use the axe more easily now. This wall in front of me is only made of stones, one on top of another. He pulled them off, one by one. Finally, Dantes broke the wall into the second room. It was smaller and darker than the first one. He waited for fresh air to fill the room. Then he went in. There was a dark corner to the left of the opening. He looked round this second room. If there is treasure, he thought, it is hidden in that dark corner. Dantes went to the corner and began to move the earth. Suddenly his axe hit a hard place. He lifted the axe to hit the place again. Again he heard the same sound. It is a great wooden chest. There are strong pieces of metal round it, he thought finally. He went outside. There he stood and thought. Then he took a dry piece of wood, lit it, and went down again. He looked at the top of the chest. It was about 1 metre long and 1/2 metre wide. In the centre there was a piece of silver in the wood. There was a mark on the silver, the mark of the Spada family. The treasure is here, Dantes thought. He tried to lift the box, but he couldn't. He tried to open it, but there was no key. He took his axe to break it open. The top came away. The wood was old and soft. There were 3 smaller boxes inside. In the first box there were gold coins from many different countries. In the second box were bars of gold. From the third box, Edmund took a handful of gold rings. He touched, felt, and looked at the treasure. Then Edmund ran quickly back to the steps. He jumped up on a rock and looked out at the sea. He was alone with this great treasure. Was he awake, or was it a dream? Chapter 15. At Marseille. The next morning Dantes climbed to the top of the highest rock. He looked for houses and men on the island, but there were none. It really was an empty place. He returned to the treasure place and went into the second room. He took gold and some coins and hid them safely in his clothing. Then he covered the chest with earth and put sand over the place. Nobody can see anything now, he thought. He put a large stone over the opening and covered it with earth. He placed some quick-growing plants in the earth. He went over the ground all round the place and hid every mark. Nobody will find this place. He waited for his friends to return. That was not easy. He did not want to sit and guard his great treasure. He wanted to return and live with men. These riches will give me great power. Danglars, Caderousse, even Villefort cannot hurt me now. I don't need to worry about them. With all this money, I can bring happiness to the people who are nearest to my heart. After 6 days, the young Amelia returned. Dantes went down to the shore. He walked slowly. "My leg still hurts," he said. "Did your business go well?" "We got the goods safely to land," the captain said. "But when we finished, a government ship from Toulon came after us. We needed you. You are a good sailor, and we needed your help. Luckily, night came, and we escaped. We have brought the young Amelia to Monte Cristo to get you." Dantes went on board, and the ship sailed for Livorno. In Livorno, Dantes sold 4 of the smallest rings to a shopkeeper. Edmund was afraid. "Will he ask where I found these rings? I am only a poor seaman." But the shopkeeper said nothing. The next day Dantes went to the captain. "My uncle has died and left me a large amount of money," he said. "I want to leave the ship." "I am sad to lose you," the captain said. "Can't you stay?" "No," Dantes said. "I must leave the young Amelia." He gave fine presents to all the men. He gave a new ship and some money to his best friend Jacopo. After that, he left Livorno and went to Genoa. In Genoa he saw a boat builder. The man had a beautiful little ship on the water. "I built this boat for an Englishman," the boat builder said. It was very small. "I can sail it myself, alone, without help," Dantes thought. "And it is very fast. No other ship on the water will catch it." Dantes offered a lot of money for the boat and asked the builder for the ship's papers. "The Englishman will not return for some time," the boat builder said. "I am sure that I can build another boat for him." So he agreed to sell the boat. He offered to find seamen for the ship, but Dantes said, "I don't need anyone. But make me a hidden place on the ship near the top of my bed." The builder promised to do the work the next day. Dantes sailed away from Genoa alone and arrived at Monte Cristo on the 2nd day. He took his boat to a different place on the shore. There was nobody on the island, and the treasure was still there. Early the next day, he began to carry his treasure on board. By evening, it was safely hidden in the secret place. One fine morning, a small but beautiful boat sailed into Marseille. Dantes tied it up near some steps. "I left Marseille just here many years ago to go to the Château d'If," he thought. The customs officers came on board to look at the ship's papers. A soldier stood near the steps. Even now Dantes was afraid when he saw a soldier. Edmund now had a different name, a rich man's name. He showed the officers the ship's papers. "This boat is owned by the Count of Monte Cristo," the papers said. The customs officers wanted to please the rich ship owner. "The Count can go on shore now, if he wants to," they said. "There is no problem with his papers." Old Nicholas, a seaman from the Pharaoh, was one of the first men that he met on shore. Dantes went straight to Nicholas and asked him a number of questions. He watched the man's face carefully, but Nicholas did not know him. Dantes gave him some money and turned away. Soon he heard a shout. "Stop!" Nicholas called. Dantes turned back. "This coin is gold, not silver," said the good man. "It is too much." "Yes, my good man," said Dantes, "I made a small mistake. Thank you for telling me. Here, take this second gold coin." Nicholas was surprised. He could not speak. Dantes continued on his way. Every tree, every street brought back memories of the past. He walked until he saw his father's house. The door was shut, but from inside he heard the sound of quietly moving feet. Then there was a silence that was broken by a weak cry of pain. Someone said very softly, "Yes, soon, very soon now, but you must be strong." Dantes put out his hand to open the door, but his hand fell back to his side. He could not move. "But I tell you, he is here," said the weak voice again. "Go and call him in. Try to get a little sleep now. Perhaps when you wake, I tell you, he is here. I saw him come up the street. I saw him stand and look up at this window with his dear eyes. He has changed. Tell him to come quickly. Tell him that death is waiting at my side." The voice grew stronger. "Open the door, I say, and bring him in." There were footsteps. The door opened slowly, and Mercedes stood there. She saw him. At first she did not know him. Then she fell forward with a cry. "It is you!" she cried. Then taking his hand, she pulled him into the room. "Come quickly, he wants to see you." The old eyes looked up at him, dark and beautiful, with a last silent look of love. Then the eyes closed. "Kiss me," he said. "Hold me in your arms, Edmund. Death, you can come and take me now." Napoleon returned to France in 1815. Danglars left the country, and nobody saw him again. "Caderousse is still alive," said Mercedes, "but he is very poor." "Look," said old Nicholas to a soldier standing by the steps. Far away on the Mediterranean Sea there was a white sail. "He has gone," said old Nicholas. "That rich count?" "Yes, I saw him go," replied the soldier. "And her?"